Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm a little bit late getting this video out. I was just working through some of the code changes and a few other things just to verify that what I was going to tell you was true and factual. But now I'm here and we've got update 5.6 live in the game as of about a week now, I think it is, maybe about 5 days. We had a little bit of issues with the patch going live, which I think is related to the hero path, because I don't know if anyone has had this situation like me. Your events get replaced with like this hero path template. I think that's what some of the bugs were maybe on release, why we had such a big downtime. But we're here, and I think so far 5.6 is shaping up to be a very, very good patch for Raid Shadow Legends. So as usual with these types of videos, I cover the official patch notes that Raid release, not necessarily the highlights, but their official notes that they release. And then I'll go through some of the things that I find in the game code, in the static data, and just kind of work out things that they have actually changed in the game that they haven't really told you about. And that's kind of the second half of this video. So let's go through the first bit and let's take a look at the patch notes for this update. So we've got some new hero skins, and these are for Trunder. Now, it makes sense. I mean, if anyone plays League of Legends, you know they prioritize popular champions with skins. That's why Ezreal in League of Legends has like 200 skins, and some of the rarer champions who a bit more niche don't tend to have as many. So it makes sense that they're picking Trunder. Trunder's a very popular, very well-known, best nuker in the arena kind of mentality. So great option. So if we have a quick look in the game, let's take a look and I'll see what we think with Trunder. I do have a Trunder. I am quite lucky. We get the little skins icon. We get an Incinerus skin. Kind of cool. Looks like a little bit golden. And then an Ice Drake skin. I gotta say, I like the flame one better, even if the hair looks a little bit like Sonic the Hedgehog. But yeah, these are cool. Now, obviously, the pricing issue we had with the first Arbiter skins is a bit, was a bit of an off-put for people, and people were really offended. I didn't really bother, like, it didn't offend me. If they want to charge £50 or $50 for something and players go, we're not going to pay that, well, that's on Player Room to fix. It doesn't affect us in the game in any way. Having a skin has no gameplay effect, which is why I think this is a very good monetization model for Raid going forward. So those are the skins. So we've also got an update to Tag Team Arena, and I think this is just a case of Player Room trying to stop accounts which are, let's say, solid 3v3 defenses that are just really hard, just sitting in gold because they can and they can't be beaten for whatever reason. They want participation in Tag Team Arena, which I think is fair. So this system for me feels like, okay, it's logical. You've got to fight your 10 in a week. If you don't fight your 10 in a week, you get instant demoted. Fine. You really should be doing 5 a day anyway for your Faction Wars keys, which I think are very valuable. Even if you lose 5 a day, you should still do 5 a day for those. So that's quite a minor change. And of course, last update, we've got the tier changes. So it does look like they're still trying to bring what I would call quality of life changes to the arena, even if they're not actually fixing some of the issues with PvP in general, which we'd hoped this year. I'm going to go into arena a little bit later on in this video when we talk about some changes to the arena matchmaking that I've spotted, which may have been communicated out to people, and they've been doing it for the past couple of months, but I just want to go into a little bit more detail on that. We finally have free regroup and keep result in the options after a Hydra battle is finished. So what I would like to see now is exactly the same thing, but for clan boss. I don't really want to keep having to close my application to save my clan boss team. Let's have the same thing in clan boss as we have in Hydra. This is a really good system. Now when you finish it, if you get slammed by the Wrath Head and you didn't really want to, you didn't want to keep the key, you didn't hit your milestones, now you can just hit free regroup on the results screen and go, I'm not happy with that key, throw that result away, let's try again. This is a great thing, but please, let's put it over to Clan Boss now as well. Next up, we've got instant gear upgrades. I mean, if this patch alone only had this feature, I think it's still probably the best patch all year. This feature is like, it's a different game with instant gear upgrades. We don't need to use RSL Helper by default now. You do gain like 0.1 second saving of the fact it goes across and the animation goes, but ultimately players can just press a button. If you're on mobile, press a button, upgrade to 16. Thank the Lord. It's also a very big thing for content creators. If they are doing takeovers on stream, or if they're doing a video where they're talking about things, they don't have to edit it all out now. They don't have to sit there for ages waiting for the gear to upgrade. This is a long overdue change, and well done Playroom for doing this for this update. It's massive. Now, a slightly controversial quest here. Now, there's two ways you can look at this, and I look at it in both ways as well. The first way you can look at it is, why am I being forced to do a system I don't really want to engage with? Okay, I understand that. But then if you look at it from that perspective, you can simply go, well, just use your key. If you weren't going to use it anyway, just use your key, enter, exit, save yourself 5 minutes, get 10 gems, and on you go. The way I look at it personally is, I don't want to lose my 10 silver key, my 5 extra silver keys from farming Doom Tower, especially when I'm farming like 120 Dark Fae or sort of top level Griffin or top level untouchable gear on rotation 1, I think is what I farm. Now, I don't want to lose that on a day because I need to do a Hydra key, and 10 gems is not transferable to the same level of reward for me. So, should they have done this change? Honestly, if they were going to do it, I'd have rather them just have added it on top in addition rather than as an alternative. Or put it as an alternative to the other gem missions, like the faction war missions. You know, I don't care if I don't get 5 gems from killing a boss in faction wars. Maybe that's what they should have done, substituting it out for the Doom Tower silver keys. I hope they haven't done that all the time. And I know one main area I did have a problem with as well was that, you know, what happens if you use your keys? But I've been told that doesn't happen, thankfully, because otherwise that could have been a complete block. You wouldn't have been able to get your refill. So the way I look at it is, if you're not playing Hydra, you don't enjoy Hydra, well, just use your silver key, use your Hydra key, get it over with. Or if you don't want the quest, just use all 3 keys right on reset, get rid of it, and then you will never get that quest. You'll always have your silver keys and Doom Towers. There's 2 ways you can look at it. So what are the minor changes we got here? So we got some bug fixes. These are good. I have had this bug where you don't do your super raids when you get an unsuccessful battle in faction crypts if you just have a bad run of something, especially skinwalkers, which is a bit of a nightmare for me still. I've clicked in, I'm sure I've hit super raids, but it hasn't done it. So I'm glad they fixed that, but it was not really a big thing. And all the rest to me are minor fixes that ultimately probably improve the quality of life, but don't make any big changes. So overall, their official patch notes, excellent patch from Raid. We've got a huge improvement with instant upgrades. We've got some new cool stuff, and there is a feature that isn't included in this patch notes right now, which is Hero Path, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about at the end of this video. So this is the unofficial part of the patch notes. So this is stuff that I have reverse engineered, data mined from the game code, and I've assessed and kind of written up my own patch notes that I feel should have been added into the Raid's official patch notes. As always, when I do this bit, I put a disclaimer. This isn't official Raid information, although the information is retrieved from the game. So there is some level of accuracy, but it is always subject to change. And, you know, you read into it as much as you understand the game. I understand the game pretty well, so I can give you pretty good information. So you can trust what I'm telling you is probably accurate, but I can't sit here and say this is official Raid news. So what have we got? So the first change that they haven't told you about is the arena updates, and they've been changing this number for the last 4 or 5 patches. We had that big problem a couple of months ago where effectively you couldn't get into platinum at all. It was too hard. All the arena kind of broke, and it was completely broken. They fixed it by putting in some daily defeat limits, and they've been tweaking the number to try and find the right balance. And this has now gone from gold 5, for gold 5 only, they've now increased it from 15 daily defeats to 20. So what that basically means is your account can receive up to 20 rated daily defeats. So that means your rating gets decreased every day, and after which you're still discoverable, but you no longer get it showing up on your battle log, and you no longer lose points, but you still gain victories. So defense is still relatively important. Putting a good defense up can help you climb if that's what you're into. But what it means is you can't get pushed really down, and there's not like, it kind of like deals with the economic issue of points deflation. And that's what I'm kind of just break into briefly. I don't want to make this video about arena, but I just want to kind of explain why this issue is happening and why I believe Playroom are approaching it in this manner, because they don't have a bigger holistic solution. Senti did a very good Reddit post a couple of months back where he was basically explaining the problem from an economic standpoint in terms of how he felt the arena was in a big state of problem, and he was proven pretty right in the next couple of weeks in terms of, yeah, we were going into that massive cycle. So how, in sort of a layman's term, what was he basically saying? So when we go into arena, we have 2 types of matchmaking. 3v3 is a different matchmaking system and a more healthy matchmaking system for the issue that we're talking about here, which is basically effectively point deflation. So when you go into Classic Arena, effectively we have tiers. Each tier rewards you different bonuses, and entrance into the tier is based on your rating. However, you'll get to a certain point where rating is more dynamic. Platinum rating is based on the top so many players. I think it's 500 currently in the game. So that basically means the floor of platinum will ever increase if the 500th person in platinum has a greater point score than the 501. Whatever score that is, it'll keep increasing. But what you effectively have every reset, every week, is a massive point deduction, a massive point removal. Everyone gets reset back to the floor of their tier, and then they either have to effectively grow again, or effectively they decrease if they can't grow. But what it means is, if everyone is stuck in platinum, they always get booted back down to the floor of gold 5. Everyone in gold 4 gets booted to gold, the bottom of gold 4 effectively. Now what ends up happening is, if you're in a state where you can't climb, you can't effectively put points back into the economy, into the system, you end up in an economic deflation, what you would see in financial markets, what you would see in governments when they talk about, a recession. That's effectively what you get, where effectively you're not putting enough in, therefore you're taking more out, and therefore you're dropping down. And that's kind of what was happening before. You didn't have any limits to how many points you could lose on defense. So what you ended up in a situation was, you effectively had a finite number of point gaining, in the sense that you get 15 free refills a day. You get 10 when you probably wake up, and you may naturally gain around 5. So you're looking at anywhere between sort of 25 to 35 battles a day you can attack. Now, if you win every single one, great, you gain points. But what was happening was, effectively you could be attacked so many times, you were effectively losing more points than you could gain. Now, if you're in a situation where you've got a healthy population, a large number of people in there, then the matchmaking system here is going to give me a board of around 10 people. Now, the problem we were having before, and why it's no longer necessarily an issue now, is effectively everyone was being put around about the 3,200 point marker, which means matchmaking was kind of insulated and really small to a smaller number of players, but also wide and vast at the same time. And what we were seeing is, you see a similar thing here. So if I look at player 5370861 here, he's got +4 medals, and I've got +6 points. So if I fight him and I win, I'm going to gain +6 points. If I fight the person down here, I'm going to get +13. But consequently, if I lose, there's a penalty. Now, if I lose against this guy, I'm only going to lose, I think, 7 or 6 points, because it's on a 20-20 range, right? If you're neutral, it's 10 wins for you get 10 points for a win, 10 points for loss. But because I'm much higher rated than this guy by about 100 rated points, effectively my score is trying to basically say, well, this person, that I'm stronger than that person, so therefore if that person beats me, he gets the boon of being the underdog. And what we were finding with the system was, effectively the first 3 were like +3, the bottom 3 were like +14, but the first 3 in the last matchmaking was effectively top tier platinum teams. And you end up in the situation where the population actually is quite small. A lot of people who get reset to 3,200 then couldn't climb at all and were getting smashed down. And then a lot of the plat players were fighting each other and taking points off each other, and they were having to permanently fight. But again, because defeats are not limited, but wins were limited by how many fights you did, you're in this situation where I could win 20 fights a day and lose 40 fights a day, and I would then just keep deflating. You keep pushing all these players down, then you start squeezing all the population in the same banding, and you don't have this healthy matchmaking that you require. We were seeing wild gaps between, someone who was like 400, 300 ratings below. So how they fixed it is they effectively put that daily defeat cap in. So what it meant was, if I win 20, I can only lose 5 times. I'm always going to be net positive, and the income of the economy is always going to be positive. We're always going to add more points. When they first did this, however, they put it at 5, and it meant there was a massive inflation. It's not so bad at the moment, but when they first did it, these players up here were like 6,000. It was crazy hard. And you had this situation as well where it was very difficult to get into plat, because effectively the way the matchmaking works, I think it's still happening right now. I don't play plat enough, but I understand the concept that they were saying, where if you win at the right time, you get into plat. If you lose at the wrong time, you drop out of plat kind of scenario. Because effectively the players couldn't lose enough ranking. You had to be really deep into platinum to be able to give yourself enough time, because in Platinum, you still have this unlimited defeats. So you could easily get attacked 5 times and get pumped in the last 5 minutes. So what I think they've been doing is slowly finding the balance, because I don't think they have a solution for this arena problem right now. So what they're trying to do is find a middle ground, and this is the middle ground that they've come up with we're going to just force income into the points economy so that players can get their medals effectively in Great Hall. The noise goes away, and we are in this situation now where people can get into plat comfortably without having to feel like every fight they take is against plat level teams. So another thing they haven't actually told you about is you can now delete your raid account. Now, it's a bit of a weird thing to put in for an unofficial patch notes, but I do know some people would prefer to completely just delete their account. We have people on the website that contact us from time to time, go, hey, you know what, I've used the service, but I'm no longer interested. Can you just delete my data? Which is perfectly fine. That's not a problem. And I find it interesting they've now done this, but you can only do it on mobile by the looks of it. I've looked in Player and Play, and it doesn't seem to be possible. It's buried away in the account system. If you press on your profile at the top and go to info, there's a button on mobile that says delete account. It asks you, why are you deleting your account? So if you are inclined to kind of just get rid of your data, I wonder if it's possible that this might help in terms of re-rolling. If you just want to re-roll an alt account or something because you're not happy with it but want to reuse that email, maybe doing this will just help you do that. I'm not sure. I've not tested it. But yeah, you can now delete your game data account completely in the game, and that's an option. So let's take a look at some of the new Fusion champions. Then we've got 3 champions that were added to the game this patch. We've got the GOAT, Llama Bear. Everyone is after a GOAT right now. The GOAT's kind of pointless, I'll be honest. They're filler champions. The Epic Shadowkin is more important, and I'll go into that in a second. But this GOAT is not going to change your account. You're probably not going to use it. It's just kind of average, really. His attack's a double attack, 2.1. All right, it's all right base speed. His attack base stat is quite low, which is why his damage is quite low. Average and weak on the 2. He's got an AoE, which is nice. It might help in the Skinwalkers if you lack some AoE damage, but he's not strong enough to really warrant you building out at all. I do hope, with the hint that they've said that there's more Skinwalkers coming, we get some better AoE decreased defense, AoE damage dealing options in Skinwalkers, because right now, unless you have something like a Coronar or a Brachus even, you're kind of stuck with people like Thane, people like Cleopteryx, and they're all Spirit. And if anyone has done Stage 20 Faction Wars, you're dealing with double Thanassel, triple Cythalia, and it's a nightmare to try and kill them because they're weak affinity, and it takes a lot of effort to get through that wave. Even with built champions, it's quite of a pain in the backside. So that's what I hope with Skinwalkers. So yeah, it's a filler champion. It's basically just there to do the fusion. Some people did notice, which I thought was quite funny on Reddit, someone said you're feeding goats to create a demon spawn, in hint of kind of a mock to Diablo Immortal, obviously demons and hell and all that kind of stuff. It's quite funny. But yeah, the goat's nothing to shout home about, average and weak damage. Then we've got Kinagashi. Now, the important thing about Kinagashi is the Faction 21 stage boss for Shadowkin is the Ignore Defense Faction Wars boss, which means he will likely kill any champion within 2 turns, and you need to take steps to do that. And up until now, there has not been a reviver for Shadowkin. You have Sachi, who revives on a kill, which you can't do because there's no allies on that stage. And you have Gamaran, again, revives on a kill, I think, or if the enemy's dead. It's a very weird mechanic. But effectively, you didn't just have a champion that could go, hey, you're dead, let's revive you. So if you don't have Ninja, you don't have Jendoro, you don't have Genzin, you don't have some of these powerful Shadowkin champions, Kinagashi is worth keeping a duplicate of if you haven't finished your Faction Wars, because he will provide the revive and keep your champion from dying and get you those 3 stars. That's his kind of only purpose in this game. Otherwise, you've got a one ally attack, one champion ally attack, which is really strange. It's a bit like Lady Tessa, feels very, very dated. And then an average A1, again, low base attack, but very good base speed. So I'm not as negative on the Epic because I see the role that he's been created for. And so we've got the Fusion, the champion that everyone is talking about. He is almost a mandatory Fusion to do if you play this game seriously. He is the only other champion apart from Valkyrie that can provide a shield fixed value based on his own defense, something which you can scale quite comfortably between a defense buff and purely stats. He's got a very good base defense at 1443. It's not as strong as Valkyrie, who's got another 100 or so on top of him. And he's got a good base speed of 102. He will be in so many speed tunes. We've already seen loads of videos from other content creators. I'm not going to go into everything you can do with him. He is powerful. Go check out those videos. What I want to focus on purely here is, can he do damage, what his multipliers specifically are, and what his shield multiplier is. So he's a 1.8 times defense times 2. That's a strong A1, and a 3.8 times defense, and for an AoE that is strong. Now, defense champions, apart from Solus, who gets a very big damage stimulus, generally are not created to be top AoE nukers, because I think the concept they have in their head is they're already tanky. Why make them do lots of damage as well? Makes sense, but I do think it's a little bit short-minded in places. So he's going to be kind of like, if you're early mid-game, his AoE nuke is more than capable of getting you into gold 4. It's very strong. You know, you will need to pair him with a defense buff, which is the challenging part. You know, you're probably going to need to almost go towards that rare Doom Screech to get your defense buff. But yeah, he's a great damage dealer. He's going to do a lot of damage. I think he is up there with like Tutora level nuke and all the others. So he's probably top 5 defense-based nuker in the game. In terms of the shield is a 3.5 defense. That is 0.5 less than Valkyrie. But he does gain a passive where he increases his own defense by 25%. So I can see what they've done. They've given a lower base defense. They've given a lower shield because it's meant to be designed with his passive where he gets 25% for every block damage buff out there. Now, whether or not you can actually pull that off in a rotation is the hard part and the fun part of speed tuning. But I can see that's why the values are lower. He is basically a slightly weaker Valkyrie shielder and kind of a bit of an offshoot for Roshkard the Tower, but also potentially a killable and unkillable champion. He's kind of like this flexible, use this champion however way you want. He may not necessarily do the roles as perfectly as other champions, but he's going to be pretty close. So a great addition. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the Hero Path Summer Solstice that we have coming up. Now, I don't know much more information other than the video that we have had out in the sneak peek. I'm going to go through that after this. I have got some like artwork and graphics that I've managed to get out of the game, and I don't really want to give too much away in terms of some of the rewards, but there are lots of rewards in this path which I think are going to be really enticing for players. It is going to be what we have asked for in the Forge Pass in terms of things that are more interesting, like shards and books, but there are other things in this hero path that I've seen in the game code that's going to be really exciting. I don't want to go into details because I don't want to leak any information that may not be finished or may not be approved right now. I'd rather let Playroom come out and promote that, but I just wanted to give the heads up to players. Don't be negative about this. I think from the way that I understand this, from what I'm reading in the game code, there won't be a payment option to enter this path. However, the cost will come to how much you engage with the game, which is fine. That's not a problem. So without further ado, I'm going to go into the video that we've got, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I think is going to happen, how I think it's going to work, and how I think it is good. So I just got a screenshot up here from the sneak peek. So the way I think this system is going to work is it's going to be a time-limited event that we're going to have in the game. And I don't think this 1 day, 23 hours is accurate. I think that's just a placeholder text for the time being. I don't think you're going to have to pay to enter this path. I think you're going to be given one key up front. You can see there's a little key icon above my head here, which shows one key here. I think you're going to be given one key for free, and then you're going to choose one of the paths. And as we can see on the screenshot here, the path rewards will be specific to the player. Now, someone here might look at this and go, do you know what? I would prefer the 40 gems. I don't know if we can jump ahead a little bit. There we go. So we see at the top here, you know, they all start with brews. One of them's got slightly more brews. Also, you notice the coins are more expensive. So that might be, you know, depending on how much resource you want to put into the game, you might want to go down a different path because that path is cheaper and you get more for it. The coins you're going to earn are going to be based on effectively playing the game. So yeah, so you see it on the left. It's basically saying upgrade champions, get artifacts and accessories, upgrade artifacts and accessories. Think of clan versus clan with more of a PvE experience to it, I suppose. This is the way that it's going to work. You're going to upgrade a champion, you're going to get some light coins. You're going to, you know, do some dungeons, do some minnow, do some campaign farming potentially. I don't know the full details. That's not in the game code. But looking at what they've shown us so far and looking at what I can see in the game code, that is the way it's going to work. You do something in the game, you get light coins. Then you use these light coins to spend on the path that you have opened. Now, further along down the path, you get another key. I'm just going to move this forward a little bit further. Like that. There we go. So you can see down here, let me just move it up a bit more. You get keys on the path. Now, again, you still need to spend your light coins to buy the key, but what that allows you to do is you get a key, and now I can open the next path. I don't think there will be a payment wall outside of playing the game and using your resources to play the game to access this content. There's no pass on top of this you have to buy. I think that's how this is going to work. But we look at what is in this path. We've got some speed glyphs. We have void shards. We have energy. 100 energy for 600 litecoins is not a lot. We've got some silver. I don't really know why they rate the silver so highly, to be honest. Core hammers are very good for people who are looking for swift parry. If we go further down, I think I saw chickens. And then if I go further along, too far, we got legendary tomes, 5-star chickens, epic books. There are other stuff that you don't see here that I've seen in the game code that are going to make this event potentially the best battle pass event we have ever had. And I don't know how it's going to get implemented fully because I've only seen some text snippets and some of the code elements on there. But if they do this right, nobody should miss this event. And I think this event will be one of the best events that Raid put on. And I think it could be very exciting and very good. Even these rewards that we see on the screen already, it's already a much better improved Forge Pass in terms of making it more exciting and making it more interesting. I like the fact that it doesn't replace what you do in the game. It's just on top. It means you're not investing your time elsewhere to progress. Forge Pass just technically was taking you outside of that. You were having to go and do silly things like go buy 15 artifacts in the marketplace. Because who does that anymore when you get to sort of a mid to late game? It's very rare that you would buy 15 artifacts. This is basically, hey, so have an event system on top of everything you do, gain extra rewards, and you choose what you would value more. Do you want the glyphs more, or do you want the chicken more? Do you want the energy more, or do you want the book more? Do you want the void shard, or do you want to just go down the right-hand path? I think that's very clever, and there are some, I think, exclusive rewards that are going to come out of this that you'd be a fool to miss. So that's the hero path. I'm really excited about the hero path. I hope we get some more information. Now, they have said it's the summer solstice. In the UK, that's the 23rd. So I would imagine either it's going to start this week or it's going to start next week. Who knows? But yeah, hopefully they implement it the way I think they're going to, and it will be really positive for Raid Shadow Legends. So that's the end of the patch notes video. There wasn't actually a lot of information in the game code in terms of things they hadn't put in the patch notes this time. It's been pretty good lately. They have been pretty informative. But there are some really cool things that I've seen in there that are coming that I'm really excited about that I wish I could talk about, but I know I will sort of cause some troubles if I do. So I'll keep my cards to my chest. There are other champions coming as well. I've seen the portraits. They look very cool as well. So, whether that's patch 5.7, whether that's mid-patch, who knows? Let's keep our eyes out. And if you've liked this content, like my videos, I do one of these every month. Every time there's a patch, I come in and I make sure we all get all the information we need. Please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep growing and keep sending this information to you. And I will catch you in the next video that I do.